A high-level investigation is now ongoing to determine the circumstances under which a vial of COVID-19 vaccine went missing. Jamaica yesterday recorded 2 more COVID-19 fatalities, pushing the tally to 494 with 602 new cases, with ages ranging from 1 year old to 98 years old. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton says a digital health platform to help manage the government's COVID-19 vaccination drive should be launched in full by early April.
Our thanks to the private sector vaccination initiative for its donation of not only the 400 tablets, but the supporting services that accompany the donation are 4,000 keyboard cases and screen protectors, and this of course is a welcome donation valued at some 11 million Jamaican dollars.
And the government's announcement of an easing of the 2-week ban on funerals and burials has not been met with much enthusiasm by some funeral homes.
If you can only have 10 people at divine worship, why 25 people for a wedding? I think this 25 people for a wedding is not for churches, it is for hotels.
Good evening. Breaking news tonight. A high-level investigation is now ongoing to determine the circumstances under which a vial of COVID-19 vaccine went missing. Director of the Western Regional Health Authority, Errol Green, confirmed that the vial could not be located and said a probe has started. Our news center understands the vial went missing around midday today from where they were stored at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Montego Bay, St. James. A vial contains 10 doses of vaccine that can provide 10 persons with their first dosage of the COVID-19 vaccine. It is the second incident in the government's COVID vaccine program in just a matter of days. Over the weekend, it was also confirmed by Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton that scores of unscheduled persons had received vaccines at medical facilities. Those persons were neither first responders, healthcare workers, or senior citizens who are scheduled to be part of the first group of beneficiaries of the vaccine. And we will bring you more on this story in subsequent newscast. Jamaica yesterday recorded 2 more COVID-19 fatalities, pushing the tally to 494. The deceased are an 86-year-old woman from Kingston and St. Andrew and an 82-year-old man from St. Mary. Meanwhile, there were 602 new cases with ages ranging from 1 year old to 98 years old. That pushing the total to 31,907 with 15,807 being active. Of the new infections, 334 are men, 249 are women, and 19 cases are under investigation, with ages ranging from 1 year old to 98 years old. Clarendon has 52 cases of the new cases, Hanover 33, Kingston and St. Andrew 146, Manchester 16, Portland 43, St. Anne 49, St. Catherine 104, St. Elizabeth 16, St. James 42, St. Mary 21, St. Thomas 13, Trelawney 26, and Westmoreland 41. In the meantime, there were 118 more recoveries, increasing the total to 15,371. Some 354 persons are in hospital, with 31 being moderately ill and 27 critically ill. The Spanish Town Examination Depot of the Island Traffic Authority, ITA, has been temporarily closed for deep cleaning and sanitization. This, the ITA said, is due to the confirmation of a positive COVID-19 case at the location. People requiring the services of the depot are being asked to visit the next nearest depot as is convenient for urgent matters, while those who are scheduled for testing during the period of closure are being asked to contact the ITA at 876-754-2814 or 876-754-2816. The ITA said it will notify the public when the depot will reopen, and all staff at the location will be tested for the virus. The government of Jamaica has received a shipment of 14,400 doses of AstraZeneca vaccines under the COVAX facility. Jamaica is the first country in the Caribbean to obtain vaccines procured through COVAX. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton, as well as the World Health Organization WHO and Pan American Health Organization PAHO representative Dr. Bernadette Theodore Gandhi, were on hand to witness the arrival of the shipment at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston yesterday. Minister Tufton said that with these additional doses, Jamaica will continue to vaccinate members of the priority groups.
The COVAX facility, 14,400 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine. It represents the first commercial delivery under the COVAX facility and any other commercial facility within the Caribbean. So Jamaica is pleased to have been the first to receive this shipment. We will get another shipment early April, and from there on in until May, we should receive some 149,000 doses. We want to thank the PAHO WHO facility for working with us through COVAX to achieve the delivery of these vaccines. It will be put to good use. This plus the 50,000 we received from India will give us some 60.
Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton says a digital health platform to help manage the government's COVID-19 vaccination drive should be launched in full by early April. The minister made the disclosure this morning at the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with UNICEF Jamaica and the Private Sector Vaccine Initiative, PSVI, for increased support of the rollout of vaccines across the island.
So this morning is an important milestone for us as a country, as a people, not just for the Ministry of Health or the government, but it's a classic manifestation of the value of collaboration. It is important in terms of the national COVID-19 vaccination deployment plan, coming on the heels of yesterday, which you mentioned, where we received our first, and the first in the Caribbean, Jamaica getting the first shipment of the COVAX vaccine facility. So if we were arguing as to whether or not Jamaica was first or second, as was the conversation before, at least we can claim a first now, right? First commercial delivery, and we appreciate that. But it's also important because today, this morning, we're signing the Memorandum of Understanding and receiving an important achievement in terms of the partnership with UNICEF and the Private Sector Vaccination Initiative. This is critical in terms of this MOU. As previously announced, Cabinet had approved the government's partnership with UNICEF for the deployment of a vaccination management system with a registration and scheduling module that will make the process of registration seamless.
Dr. Tufton also explained that the MOU and handover of the tablets were the latest steps in the government's commitment to working with the private sector and organizations such as UNICEF to get Jamaicans vaccinated.
As we expand to the over 60s, then we need this system. The system will be up and available through phone, website, or otherwise, so that we catch everyone. So I say to persons, I know you're anxious, but just give it some time. A key component of persons being able to be vaccinated in a timely and efficient manner is the use of the technology to manage the registration process at the vaccination sites across the island. And again, our thanks to the private sector vaccination initiative for its donation of not only the 400 tablets, but the supporting services that accompany the donation are 4,000 keyboard cases and screen protectors. And this, of course, is a welcome donation valued at some 11 million Jamaican dollars. So we say thanks to the private sector vaccination team for that. So we not only have vaccines to work with, we will now have the software, the platform, the training, the people to ensure that the management of the appointment system and the tracking system for second dosage follow-up is in place. Of course, the mandate remains to identify 4 million doses of vaccines for by March 2022 to inoculate some 2/3 of our population.
The health minister explained that the signing of the MOU with the private sector is a win-win for everyone.
As a country, there is a trust deficit between, in this case, the private sector and government. And it's not since yesterday. It's coming for a long time. As there is a trust deficit, frankly speaking, between government and the people. We have a lot of work to do as leaders in this country. We cannot face a crisis of this proportion, global in scope, significant in terms of devastation and potential and impact, every single sector, and you don't approach it with a solution that involves everybody. So I say to Jamaicans, or more importantly to those who viewed the MOU with suspicion, this is a manifestation of what that MOU represents. And frankly speaking, this represents a win-win for everybody. The sooner we can pull out of this challenge, the better off we all are. And I think the support that Peter Mello and his team, working with UNICEF and the ministry, have provided to get this software in place, the hardware that has been acquired and added to the system, can only be to the benefit of every single Jamaican, no matter where you are, no matter where you come from. And frankly speaking, that is what equity in access is all about, or should be.
Dr. TUFTON announced that the BPO and the construction sectors are being added to the priority group to be inoculated with the COVID-19 vaccine.
I have been in conversation with the private sector generally, primarily with the head of the PSOJ, Mr. Keith Duncan, and we have added to that group the BPO sector, which is important for job creation and foreign exchange earning, the construction sector, which is a very big part of economic empowerment, and retail and distribution. We are also now discussing how we can find a space, rightfully so, later on, when we have completed the vulnerables, for private sector facilities with a distribution across the country that will allow them, with the coordination and oversight of the ministry, to maintain all the protocols and standards that are essential and the equity that is important, but they will then use those facilities to administer. We're working through that now, and I think, again, that would be a win-win because it would increase the pace of inoculation and get us to our target as quickly as possible.
Chairman of the PSVI's Oversight Committee, Christopher Zaka, said that the equipment, which cost some $11 million, will enhance the efficiency of the rollout of the National Vaccination Plan.
The PSVI is today providing 400 digital tablets, complete with keyboards, cases, and screen protectors to the Ministry of Health and Wellness for use at vaccination centers island-wide. In addition to these devices, which cost over $11 million, the PSVI is providing financial and technical assistance to the MOHW toward the implementation of a comprehensive vaccine administration platform, which will greatly enhance the efficiency of the rollout of the National Vaccination Plan. The system will be installed on the devices prior to delivery. And the initiative will also facilitate the training of personnel on the use of the platform. This contribution is part of the PSVI's commitment to mobilize resources and increase the velocity and penetration of vaccinations in the country I want to add my thanks to the UNICEF and to, of course, Minister, you and your team for this partnership.
Vaccination against the COVID-19 began today for cabinet members, parliamentarians and heads of ministries, departments and agencies of government who are 60 years and older. They join frontline healthcare workers and members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force who are now being vaccinated against the virus, which up to now has infected more than 31,000 Jamaicans and claimed the lives of more than 490 persons locally. Jamaica's COVID-19 vaccination program began on March 10 with the administration of the first doses for close to 3,000 individuals, and since then more than 12,000 persons have been vaccinated. The Ministry of Health and Wellness is reminding the public that vaccines are being administered according to the approved schedule and for the safety of all concerned is urging persons to attend vaccination sites island-wide only after they have received their appointments. Director of Family Health Services in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dr. Mello Ennis, is assuring Jamaicans of the safety and efficacy of the vaccines being brought into the island by the government in the fight against the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Ennis says that all the vaccines being procured by the government are among the 4 that have been granted emergency use authorization to date by the World Health Organization, WHO. In addition to AstraZeneca, the others are the Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Dr. Ennis pointed out that the WHO's emergency use listing, EUL, assesses the quality, safety, and efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines and is a prerequisite for COVAX facility vaccine supply. It also allows countries to expedite their own regulatory approval to import and administer COVID-19 vaccines. Dr. Ennis also added that in addition to rigorous testing through the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and the WHO system, the vaccines have also been certified by stringent regulatory authorities such as the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA. She assures that the government would not have gone forward with procuring the vaccines were they not approved by the WHO. The government's announcement of an easing of a 2-week ban on funerals and burials has not been met with much enthusiasm by some funeral homes. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Desmond McKenzie said in a press statement Sunday that the adjustment would allow for the disposal of human remains in specially described circumstances. This includes bodies that are in an advanced state of decomposition and those as well that are not in an advanced state but have been recommended for immediate burial by the appropriate health authorities, and the burial or cremation of indigent persons who die while in custody of the state. The measures took effect on Saturday. However, Melvin Honeygan, owner and managing director of Honeygan's Funeral Services and West Palm Memorial Gardens, explained why he is not totally in agreement with what the minister is proposing.
I want to first say thanks to the minister for the step toward reopening the industry. Even though I am not 100% satisfied, because when we sit and look at what they did, we have 14 parishes in Jamaica, but I was formally informed once that we have approximately 120 funeral operators in Jamaica. If we have 120 funeral operators in Jamaica, mean less than 1/10 would benefit from what the minister did. In that, we have one contractor per parish. And if we have one contractor per parish, that means it would be 14 funeral homes out of the 120 would benefit from what is being dealt with. Interments, 1, cremation is separate and apart from burials. Secondly, if we go to the burials would mean decomposed and indigent. These are only bodies that will be stored by the contractors, and as the minister rightly say, those who had paperwork ready.
Mr. Honeygan further explained that having this ban coincide with the tax season will cause a financial burden.
I don't know if the government took in consideration before closing the industry in March when it is tax period. Tax period is what the government uses to run the country. How are we going to find that money to pay our taxes when we have to use it to pay staff and other regular bills? So we are going to have to put the income tax on hold and pay those who are going to be more miserable on us than that of the government, even though the government is going to charge us penalty and interest. Well, we have to be mindful that paying your tax is a part of your regular business. So for you to operate financially, you need an income. Without an income, how can you pay all these bills? It is very important that the government also think of how quickly they need their money from us, as we have to sacrifice their money to pay the bills and do other things. At this time of the year, all of us will be preparing to pay our taxes.
He says he examined the provision allowed for church and weddings, and the situation makes him feel like a second-class citizen in his own country.
Let us look further than the funeral. Let us look into churches and weddings. When I look into this matter, I feel like I am a second-class citizen in this country. If I leave here and go to the United States, I acknowledge being a second-class citizen, because all those members of that country would first go through immigration, and when the immigration is finished, they would try to assist us. But when I get back to Jamaica, I'm also feel as a second-class citizen. When I look at 25 people into the church for a wedding, 10 people for divine worship, I don't think this is made for us. Because if you can only have 10 people at divine worship, why 25 people for a wedding? I think this 25 people for a wedding is not for churches, it is for hotels, because hotels does a lot of weddings. People will leave other country and come here to marry. So I'm sure that that 25 is for those groups.
And while our news team was at the Honeygan funeral home, we spoke with Patricia Ferguson, a bereaved family member who had this to say regarding the ban.
I am here at Honeygan funeral home on the behalf of my loved one, my mom, to get her laid to rest. And this whole lot of expense for storage of fee what I don't have, what the Prime Minister, Mr. Andrew Honest, put funeral and band. And right now it's running me over 60,000 for extra days, and I don't have it, where I could plan my mom's funeral and go on with her burial. I would say to Mr. Andrew Honest, are you gonna help us, the family, who have our loved one, where the package is going up with that storage fee? What are you gonna do towards to help us, because we don't have it like that? So you need to look on some background check and see what you can do for us, the family, because we need help. And lift the ban so we can bury our loved one, because I have work to go back to. And I buy my ticket already, and this extra thing is killing me. So we want you to step in and do something about it.
In other news, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA, says it has arrested and charged former Petrojam General Manager Floyd Grindley with 8 counts of aiding and abetting and obtaining money by means of false pretense. MOCA made the revelation in a statement a short while ago, saying the actions were taken today. According to MOCA, the alleged offenses were committed between December 2016 and May 2018 in relation to several reimbursements amounting to US $73,620. MOCA said over the period it conducted a thorough multi-jurisdictional investigation into these allegations, prepared and submitted a file to the Director of Public Prosecution, who ruled that criminal charges be filed. Grindley was interviewed in the presence of his attorney and subsequently arrested and charged. He was later offered bail. He is to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court tomorrow. And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories, including news that an AK-47 rifle and ammunition seized in Westmoreland and St. Catherine, and citizens are also being encouraged to utilize the National Solid Waste Management Authority mobile application to report instances of littering, illegal dumping, and uncollected garbage. But first, let's take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.